When Leon walked out, it wasn't just silence that filled the house, it was something heavier. Like a fog that crept into every corner and pressed down on my chest. I stood by the window, listening to the stillness wrap around me, a kind of loneliness that didn't announce itself loudly but settled in the bones. At the kitchen table, I sat with my hands wrapped around a half-drunk mug of coffee. The porcelain was cold, the wood beneath my elbows worn smooth from time. My feet curled against the chilly tiles, grounding me in a reality I hadn't asked for. I didn't cry, didn't speak, I just sat there, frozen in a strange in-between where time didn't seem to move. The morning light came in too sharp, slicing through the dust in the air, making everything feel more exposed. The empty chairs, the spotless sink, it all looked sterile, abandoned. Leon had taken his coat, his key, but his scent still clung to the towel in the bathroom. A folded receipt from our last dinner sat pinned on the fridge, mocking me with its date, like a cruel reminder. I traced the familiar chip on my coffee cup, the one I never fixed, like so many other broken things I left untouched. It was past 8 before I finally moved, sipping the bitter drink more out of habit than need. I hadn't heard the door open. I hadn't noticed footsteps. But suddenly, Caleb was there, quietly standing in the doorway as though he had always belonged there. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His presence filled the space in a way silence couldn't. I didn't ask why he was here. I didn't even look him in the eye. I just stood, letting the chair scrape loudly against the tile as I passed him and stepped outside. He followed without a word. The dew-covered grass clung to our ankles. And the air smelled like summer, thick, warm, and heavy with unsaid things. Birds chirped faintly somewhere nearby. A lawnmower buzzed in the distance, and still the world kept spinning. Uncaring of the weight I was carrying, I stopped at the edge of the porch, feeling him close behind me. He didn't touch me, but the air shifted around us with his nearness. And then, his hand found the small of my back. Just a gentle touch, barely there, but enough to unravel something inside me. I didn't pull away. When I turned, he leaned in before I could speak. His kiss was soft but certain, full of quiet assurance. His lips tasted faintly of coffee and something sweet, peach, maybe. I kissed him back, just enough to let him know I needed it too. When he deepened the kiss, I didn't resist. His breath tickled my ear as he whispered something I didn't catch, then kissed the hollow of my throat. And when he bit down gently, deliberately, it was like something snapped into place. It wasn't our first kiss, but it was the first one that felt like there was no going back. We didn't mention Leon, not then. Not when my hand found Caleb's. We walked past Leon's unfinished garden, past tools left leaning against the shed like silent witnesses. I expected Caleb to break the tension with a sarcastic comment, like he always did, but he didn't. Instead, he stopped beneath the sycamore trees and turned to me, eyes steady. "I wasn't going to come," he said. "I know," I replied, my voice foreign to my ears, but I couldn't stay away. I stepped closer, until nothing could be hidden between us. "I thought you hated him," I murmured. "I did," he admitted, "but you never asked." The trees around us held still, even the breeze pausing for what came next. And then he kissed me again, harder, deeper. His hands found my waist and the back of my neck. I clung to him like he was the only thing keeping me from falling. We didn't stop until we had to breathe. Back inside, the air felt altered, like the house itself knew something had changed. I stood hesitantly at the doorway while Caleb watched the curtains flutter. He didn't push. He waited. I stepped toward him, reaching out slowly. My fingers found the inside of his wrist, then traced up to his elbow. He flinched barely, but I noticed. I always noticed with him. His hand cupped my jaw, his thumb brushing my cheek with the kind of tenderness that begged a question without words. I answered the only way I could, by leaning in. This time, our kiss was slow and meaningful. He touched me like I was something new, something worth learning all over again. As we sank onto the couch together, every move was deliberate. He undressed me carefully, reverently, like it mattered. His hands explored gently, his mouth leaving a trail of heat across my skin. There was nothing rushed about it, no desperation, just presence. I felt seen, held, wanted. When we paused, foreheads pressed together, he whispered, "I don't want you to think this is just comfort." "It's not," I said. I believed him. Later, up in the attic, surrounded by heat and the creak of old beams, I lay with my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat like it was the only steady thing left. His arms tightened around me. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. "No," I whispered. "Me neither." We looked at each other in the muted light, raw and unguarded. He kissed me again, slow, deliberate. I gave in to the honesty of it. I always wondered, he murmured, what it would have been like if it had been me. It wasn't just you, I whispered. His eyes darkened with something old and deep. But it could have been. I didn't answer. Instead, I kissed him again, harder this time, letting everything I couldn't say pour into him. Later, we lay side by side, fingers barely touching, the attic glowing in the golden light of dusk. He traced my palm like a map he'd memorized. And I finally let myself believe this was real. I don't want to go back, I whispered. You don't have to, he said. Stay. The thought scared me, but it also felt like freedom. Downstairs, the house echoed with Leon's absence. But beside Luca, it didn't feel like a wound anymore. We sat on the porch, stars appearing above us, thighs brushing in the warm air. I used to think I had it all figured out, I said, but I don't, and I'm scared. Then don't do it alone, he replied, brushing his thumb against my wrist. I don't want to, I said later. We climbed onto the roof. No more hesitation, no more doubts. Just us, under a judgment-free sky. He looked at me like I was the only thing that mattered. You're still shaking, he said, fingers grazing my collarbone. So are you, I whispered back. And then he kissed me hard, urgent, with everything we'd both buried for too long. When we pulled away, breathless, he looked at me. I thought I'd feel guilty. I said, but you don't, he replied. No. He smiled, and for the first time in forever, I didn't feel alone. The house, Leon, the past, they were still there. But they couldn't reach me up here. Not with Luca. This wasn't an ending. It was the beginning.